Okay, this is my fourth take trying to do this intro, and I feel very nervous trying to make this video. So yeah, despite how the title is written and how clickbaity it is, I want people to know that this is just a review for a movie. I'm not a hate piece against your favorite creator. He's also my favorite creator, so let's just put that out there. This is just me reviewing a movie that I saw, and I want to talk about how it made me feel. It's as simple as that. If you want to know why some random asshole on the internet who has zero following feels the way they do about a movie, which happens to be the #1 movie in America, maybe hear them out first before you spam the comments with death threats, hate, and suicidal encouragement and ideation, which is something that I have experienced with this fandom, which I will get into in a little bit. And obviously I can't really talk too much about the movie without spoiling it, so I'm just gonna say, if I accidentally say something that might be a minor spoiler, I know Mark himself is very sensitive about what counts as a spoiler with this movie, so if I say something that might cross a line of spoilers, sorry, but I feel like I need to talk about it. If I look over here a lot, it's because I wrote my thoughts down on paper so I can properly convey what I'm trying to say, because I have tried to do this before and my words have been twisted and misconstrued, so I wrote it down, and if I look over there, it's because I'm nervous and I'm trying to remember what I'm trying to say. Also, I want to explain the history that I have with the fandom and the community and just Markiplier in general, and where I'm coming from when I saw this. This didn't necessarily add to my frustration, but it added to how it affected my journey coming up to the movie, if that makes sense. But if you don't want to get to that, and if you don't want to hear it and you just want to get to the part like where I talk about the movie, you can go to this timestamp right here. But I feel like I need to properly explain myself so my mindset on the movie can be properly explained. I've been watching Mark since I was 9 years old. I'm 23 now. I'm going to be 24 in a few months. I watched a good chunk of his Let's Plays, every skit that he's pretty much been a part of on the internet, and every big project that he's been out, I, for the most part, watched it. There was a time frame around the Unas Honest time and around during the pandemic when I didn't really watch a lot of YouTube because I was just older. But when I was little, I did embarrassing reaction videos to his Let's Plays on my tablet screen recorder. I luckily can't pull that up anywhere now because I got rid of them because they were embarrassing. But basically, I was a big fan. But like I said, as I got older, I kind of like distanced myself away from his content, not because of like I didn't like it or anything. It's just life responsibilities kept stacking up, and a lot of personal issues kind of got in the way with me wanting to watch YouTube. I couldn't really just sit in the brain rot of everything. I had stuff to do. So I missed the holy grail that was the Iron Lung Let's Play. I didn't even know what Iron Lung was. I only knew minor bits of the game lore from word of mouth from my friends. So when he released the teaser, I was very intrigued to see the movie. And after I got out of community college and I got back into watching his videos again, I even became a channel member and I got to see a bit more behind the curtain. I got to chat with him a bit more. He even responded to some of my comments, which made me feel pretty cool. But I noticed that there was a big fandom shift. Like back in the day, everyone kind of was a lot more welcoming, a lot more kind, like not a lot of discourse was happening in the fandom. I think the biggest discourse was Mark and Jack's friendship, which was none of our business to begin with. But the fandom that was once known for being the most welcoming and supportive kind of became toxic, especially on the subreddit, which I joined about a year ago or so. So I was freshly new to that environment. I didn't know why it was like that. Maybe it was because Mark was uploading inconsistently and people were just starving for content, and the culture of social media kind of shifted and every kid with an iPad was spamming comments. I don't know, but it did not feel the same. And around that time I started uploading more consistently. I didn't really necessarily make Mark-centric videos. I was trying to do my own thing, but every now and then I would review something of his, like when Edge of Sleep came out. I reviewed it like probably 2 days after it came out, and it was one of my biggest videos that really garnered attention at the time. But the comment section turned visceral. Either fans were mad that I didn't say Mark was my favorite actor or that he was my favorite part of the show, or people said that I was too much of a Markiplier shrill and I wasn't giving the show enough criticism. People were just mad that I gave an honest, albeit still very positive, review rather than graveling at Mark's feet or tearing him down. But which he himself said he didn't want either person to do, or he didn't care, he just cared about honesty. And just to preface, I know I am more than sure that most of the community stayed the same, kind, welcoming, and the fandom that I remembered when I was a kid, but getting death threats, suicidal encouragement and ideation, or just downright just hate, and like bombarding amounts, like people wouldn't just do it in the comment section, they would find my social media and do it there too. I had to private my stuff for a while and get rid of anything Mark related off of my channel, which sucked because I was a fan. He was one of my biggest inspirations. Whether it was just an iPad kid who was just spamming stuff and being over defensive and didn't understand what they were saying, or if it was a grown-ass man, doesn't negate that kind of behavior. It is not okay. So I ended up deleting both videos because of it, and I distanced myself from Mark for a while, which sucked. It didn't really feel like I was welcomed, and I didn't really feel like I should make Mark videos because I didn't know what I could do or say that wouldn't come across as honest or authentic and just anything like that. Not that Mark himself ever saw my videos or ever cared, but just knowing that the community just some part of the community could see me that way just made me feel terrible. So I distanced myself from it. And I carried all of that with me when I went to see Iron Lung. I didn't buy a drink. I bought just a small snack. I didn't have a popcorn bucket, which sucked because I saw the 3D render of it, but I don't have a 3D printer, and my theater doesn't do custom popcorn buckets. So I didn't really have anything. I felt too anxious to have anything go with me going in. But despite all of that, despite all of like the fan discourse and how the community made me feel, it isn't why I'm frustrated with Iron Lung at all. Like, I would never put that on Mark or anything that he created. But I went in and I watched the movie and I liked it. It was really good. The camera work was so meticulous, and if you ever been into filmmaking or just delved into it at all, you would see how many of the subtle choices that were made with the cinematography was just so smart and good. I don't really know any other fancy term to really describe it, but when you just see the visuals on it and you see how tight the shots are and like how they foreshadow stuff later on, it's just so smart and really good. I really liked it. It really just highlighted the claustrophobia and the dread of the environment, and displays Simon's psyche, which is Mark's character, by the way. I don't think that's a spoiler. I'm pretty sure that's on IMDb. If that's wrong, I'm sorry, but his name is Simon. Now you know. There were some weird audio mixing choices, but I think that was mainly the theater's fault rather than the actual sound design itself, since it's an independent film, albeit an expensive one. Theaters don't really prepare for the proper setup for the sound quality when it comes to independent films. They just kind of assume they're crap when they're not. Many theaters do this, but it's not really an issue on Mark or the film's part. There is one scene in particular that had a bit of a lighting issue. It's not really a spoiler, I don't think, but Simon tries to fix something in like the lower part of the ship, and it's confined and dark, and there's only like one spot of light, and all you can really see is just Mark's scrunched face grunting and hitting something metal in a very questionable rhythm, and it kind of took me and the rest of my theater out. Like, all of us were kind of laughing, and the theater was packed, by the way. Like, I didn't get the best seat because I bought the ticket late, but no, we were all kind of taken out of the atmosphere for a moment. But it's a very quick scene, and it only happened once, and the environment of the scene was a setup for a much more well executed sequence at the end. It's not really a criticism, it's just something that I thought was kind of funny to bring up. Delving into like Mark and his writing and his acting, this is probably the best work that he has done in both fronts. You can tell he felt really connected with the material, even if he wasn't the one writing it. I'm sure he would have been very connected. There's a lot of Mark's genuine feelings. If you ever watch the promotion videos and live streams that he did for this movie, you could tell he felt very connected to the material regardless. And there was just so much subtle facial expressions that you don't really see in actors anymore. A lot of it's like either too stiff or too overreactive, but he has this subtlety that works so great. There's so much that he's saying without saying it. My only critique with the writing of the dialogue is when he does ever interact with someone, which I don't think is a spoiler because he talks to people in the trailer. When he does interact with voices on the intercom, they kind of have the same conversation a few times. It kind of got a little repetitive. It doesn't kill the chemistry or ruin the pacing or anything. It just felt the same. And you'll understand once you watch it. I heard there were more showtimes now, so go watch it. I'm probably going to watch it again sometime this week. There is one scene in the middle of the movie, though, with Simon, which is the most well put together dialogue that I've ever heard in one of Mark's projects ever. Everything from the sentence structure to the delivery to the pacing of it, everything was just so thought out. And I know David, the game developer, also had a hand in writing it too, so kudos to him as well. It was easily my favorite scene in the movie. I wish I could go into detail about it. The only thing that I can say about the scene that I can give away is there's a line of dialogue in this scene at the end of the trailer, and it hits so much harder in the actual scene. It was just so well done. And there is also a lot of tell, don't show with Simon's backstory. Like, obviously, in order for us to get attached to the character, Mark and David had to have come up with something with Simon's story to get us more attached to his journey. But we do see enough to understand the gravity of his character. If I wanted to see more of it, that isn't really a criticism in my opinion, because we see enough to get attached. It's more so I wanted to see more because I'm curious, not because I didn't get enough. Also, I did not know Troy Baker was in this movie until I heard his voice. Like, that is like crazy. When I tell you, I went in with like zero knowledge except for the trailer. I did not know like all the people that were in this movie. Caroline's in this movie, like, she did great. Like, very well done second lead, in my opinion. Like, everyone else in the cast did really well too. So if I enjoyed the movie so much, you're probably asking, why did it frustrate me? Was it the fan discourse? No. It wasn't even my tiny little nitpicks, because I wasn't ever taken out of the movie. I don't really know how else to describe it other than frustration, because when I walked out of the theater processing everything that I just watched, like how good it was, how much hard work was put into it, because I had context for that, just from being a member for the time that I was. The frustration, when I thought about it, the frustration wasn't really at anything that Mark did or anything that the fandom did or at the movie at all. I think it was more so frustration towards myself, you know? Because before I went into the movie, I did see Mark's thank you messages to fans and all of that, and how much encouragement that he was putting in to fans, like the crying and everything, the typical motivational speeches he has done in the past. But it didn't really land with me until I sat in the car and really thought about the movie and what I believe is trying to be represented by it. If you watch the beginning portion of my video, you would know that I said that I was a very busy person and I got disconnected with Mark's content and just YouTube in general. And what I was doing that made me so busy was that I was working on my own films, my own projects and all of that. I starred in a short film in my community college. I worked on several musicals where I starred as the lead, or if not the second lead. And the short film that I starred in even went into some festivals and got posted on YouTube. You can watch it in the description below. A few years later, I even wrote, starred, and edited my own short film, which took me until 3 a.m. to finish editing. I wrote songs for my band's album. I edited all of the lyric videos for each of the singles. I wrote 8 out of 9 songs. I was working on them nonstop. I even edited my own YouTube videos, some of which I know were very ass quality. Please don't yell at me about it. And recently I released my TTRPG handbook on YouTube and started the official channel there. So over the course of those years, which was from 2022 to now, that's like 4-5 years, I was very, very busy. And to top it all off, I'm still going to college, I'm still going to work, I'm finishing my classes, I'm getting my degree, which is in publishing, so I can figure out a way to independently publish my works without having to climb the fucking hierarchy to get my stuff out there. I'm a creative person. I am. I know I am. I know what I'm capable of. But I also have nothing to my name, and I keep working on multiple things at once. And amongst all that, I have failed a lot. I have, and it's really, really tiring. And it's not just from the standpoints where I got those death threat comments, where I got a lot of dislikes. No, it's beyond that. Failure that's constant roadblocks of people telling me no. My college's entire theater department telling me that I'm not good enough to audition. I'm barely good enough to make it into crew. Teachers in my high school that have given me trauma because they took advantage of that eagerness and that drive. No one really listening to my music with my band besides my bandmates' family members, and they only praised their portion of the work that we did. People who were supposed to support me, who were the closest to me, or supposed to be the closest to me, were telling me not to even try because they were too embarrassed to have me on the internet and saying that the hate that I would receive, and more importantly, they would receive, is not worth it, and that real life would take away those opportunities from both me and from them if I tried. That I can't have success unless I have numbers like people of Mark's channel's caliber, that I would never make it. And then I relayed that back over to the movie. And whether intentionally or not, it really captured that feeling in such a raw physical form. Simon represents the creative in question, someone who has failure strapped to his back, getting told by people with more power than him that he can't escape this metal box, this cage that people built him in. He's welded shut, trapped, and being pushed so far into the blood ocean, he shouldn't try to escape. But Simon does try. Despite the odds, knowing the reality of the situation, he keeps trying and he pushes forward, even in moments where he's afraid and doesn't want to, and even asks the question, what's the point? He does it anyway. And then Mark went live again after I watched the movie, and he talked about it, and that's when the dots really started to connect. He said exactly what I was relating towards the film when I was thinking about it. And I guess throughout all of the discourse and the disconnect that I felt over the fandom, I guess I just kind of forgot that's been his message for years. And then he still does that today when he doesn't have to, knowing the success that he has. And I think what made me really frustrated after realizing that and watching the movie is because I didn't have Simon's will anymore. Even when I released my most recent projects, I kind of just did it to put it out there because I just thought it was pointless. I didn't think anyone would watch. I didn't think people would care. I didn't want to turn on the camera. Like, even just doing this right now makes me very anxious just showing my face the way that it is right now. I didn't want people to see it because I didn't believe that it could do anything or that people would want to do something with it. But I don't know, ever since I saw the movie, I want to try again. I do. I really, really do. I want to be able to be comfortable in front of the camera and just be able to share my opinions without being scared of what people might think or say, and just take it in strides, keep the valid criticism, not listen to the blind hate behind it. I want to be able to tell people I can when they think that I can't. Because if Mark, despite his numbers and influence of the internet success that he has, can go through all of that struggle and all of that time to get his movie out there, what is stopping me from publishing my novel, from Dragonveil actually becoming something, or even me getting the courage to act again and making something that matters? Like, what's stopping me? What's stopping all of you? Even if you aren't necessarily someone that wants to be in the arts, if you just want to be a doctor, if you want to be a restaurant manager or owner or a business manager, or just someone who even wants to even just do customer service, like, pop off, do it. What's stopping you? And I feel like that's the point of Iron Lung, is that you're supposed to feel that frustration. That frustration is good. It wants you to use it as a drive to be able to look at the horrors of the world around you that's telling you no, stop, give up, and just say, I won't. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I highly recommend it, whether you're a fan or not, because maybe you'll feel the same way that I did, maybe you'll connect the dots the same way that I did, or maybe I'm just too sensitive for the internet, and maybe I'm just too sensitive to do it, but I'm doing it, and I really liked it, and I know that Mark wants us to take something away from this movie, and I feel like that's just the message that I got from it, and that's what I took away from it. And hopefully you can find some more meaning behind it, behind the dread and everything. All right, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, just keep trying.